Alright, today I'm going to be performing a cleaning and servicing on this Edison wood grain box fan. It's a very nice wood grain. I picked this up months ago at Savers. They wanted $9 for it. I told them that the switch is broken because it is. It's cracked inside of here. And so as a result, it doesn't always grip this correctly. So sometimes it'll change the speed and sometimes it'll just click. And I asked them if they could go down at all. I think I got it for $6, which is pretty good. This is actually, I gave this to my brother. It's his box fan. I never got around to servicing it. So this has a few issues. It's really not all that dirty. Still has the feet on the back here. They're much more substantial than what you usually see. They're the slide-on from the side kind. I'll get a closer view of those later. And it still has the handle, which is pretty impressive, although it does have like a crack in it, but it's still there. I wouldn't really carry it by that, but I am for the video because it's awkward to not. So the problems with this, I think it is, I know it's really out of balance, and I know the switch needs to be fixed, or the knob rather. I think it's been, I don't really think it needs oil, but we're going to oil it anyway because it's, probably what, 30, 40 years old at this point. It's probably a 90s, 30 years. So it's a good idea to oil it anyway. But before we do anything, I don't really care if that's on right or not. I'll just have to, there you go. We're gonna give it a test run. One thing I don't particularly like about these fans is the fact that their cord is like 3 feet long. Yeah, I guess it's more like 4 feet. And it's just a byproduct of them being cheap because, as we'll see, they didn't even take enough wire to run it down to where it should come out, which is down here. It just comes out right at the right at the motor, which is fine. The problem is they just didn't give you enough. What the heck? Okay, I need to go get a drink. Okay, I just got a ice cold cup of water out of my vintage refrigerator. It tastes great. And now I can talk. So I'm pretty sure I was going to test it now. This workbench room thing is very small, and my power bar is on this side, so I have to stand in front of the camera. And it's already on. So the camera stabilization is probably taking this out, but this thing is already shaking all over the place. And I think it's only on low. Yeah, it's only running on low. Hold on, I'm gonna get the meter and we'll test the watts and amps here. Okay, so on low it's pulling point, oh my goodness, 1.0. Alright, there's something wrong with my face or my brain. 1.20 amps. I cannot read letters. And then 86.976 watts for medium. And high. Please make. Now, when you're working with electrical equipment, it's always a good idea to work with your stuff plugged in. So obviously the first thing I'm going to do today Let's remove the front grill. Maybe. The knob just fell off. It fell behind my table. That's not good. So I think I mentioned this, but this fan is maybe got one season's worth of dust on it. I don't even know if the camera will pick it up. Yeah, it does a little bit. It's really pretty clean. Usually you find these things from the 90s and 80s and they're absolutely nasty. Here's the feet. So I believe these come off by sliding them. Okay, no, there's something else. This one is cracked. And this one's pretty close to cracking. There's some information down here. It says Edison model 204026. Hopefully I'm reading those letters correctly. And it says 115V for volts, 2.6 amps, and 60 hertz. UL listed fan. And it says this is a Toastmaster product, so it says Toastmaster Inc. Boonville, Missouri 65233, and then it's got some sort of a stamp there. I'm not sure if I want to take these off because I might break them. And there's like, I'm not even sure. There's some like tab in the middle, and I'm not sure how you would get it out without breaking that off. I'm sure you could. This is not going to be a very detailed clean. This is a fan that gets used pretty often from what I'm told. So I'm not going to, it's not a showpiece. The blade just pulls right off. And as you can, ow! As you can see, it's dusty, but it's nothing, I mean, it's not bad. A lot of the dust is actually just like on this side of the hub because I'm pretty sure this was sitting probably in a basement or basement, I would say. It's not that bad. It's probably not a garage fan. Yeah. So this stupid thing is way out of balance, so it shakes. And I really haven't used this much at all because it's so out of balance. I didn't really want to run it like that. I don't know how often he uses it, my brother. I don't think it runs every night. So on this particular fan, the cord comes out the back, which is not the best when you lay it down. But as you can see, the spin on time is very good on this one. Toastmaster thermally protected L type 203PEG, 115 volts, 2.6 amps, and 60 hertz. So it's actually, unlike the Lakewoods and maybe Lasco, I can't remember if they're correct or not. If they're correct or not. It looks like there's oil all over that, but it doesn't. That's weird. This is actually, the tag on the motor actually matches the tag on the cabinet, which is such a basic thing, but a lot of companies, at least Lakewood, couldn't seem to get that right. But that's okay because they got everything else right until 2008. Okay. so the next thing, does this have oil ports? I don't think so, but... No. I'm gonna say it doesn't. Where did my toothbrush go? I used to have one sitting over here, and it's gone. I wanted to brush the dust off the motor. I'm not even gonna open this motor up, because it's got so many vents, and there's not really much of any dust to speak of. Maybe I'll take some compressed air and blow it out. I almost don't even... I'll put some oil in there. Okay, I'm gonna go find my toothbrush and then we can start cleaning this up. Alright, so I found my toothbrush and the compressed air. What happened was I'd been working on a project in the kitchen, and oftentimes when I leave my toothbrush in the kitchen, my mom will take it and she'll put it under the sink. I haven't figured out if that's because she thinks that it goes there or if she's just trying to play games with me. I know I've complained about it before, but frankly I should probably just put it away. First thing I'll do is... Oh. I hate these stickers, they're so annoying. I'll get that off after the video, but just give it a good wipe down on the top. Let this wood grain show. It's really in pretty nice condition, not a whole lot of scratching. Usually I would strip it down farther and go outside, spray it down with the hose and some soap. But it's just not necessary on this one. They kept it pretty nice and clean. I think it's a very low hours unit. And it's just going to get used every day, so it doesn't really matter. I have to be more careful with those feet. I didn't realize they were cracking until today. This is not the most effective way to do this, but it'll work. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, and what you should do on your fans each year, not every 4 years like most people never do. Hopefully you can see this on the video. Maybe I can zoom in or something. Zooming in. Okay. So I'm just going to take some compressed air here. And there's really not a whole lot of dust in here, but just going to clear the windings because you want to make sure there's air getting through these holes. If you don't, your motor's going to overheat and the thermal fuse will go out. On the older fans, it's a resetting, at least in the McMillan motors. I don't know about this one. It probably is a once one and done. Just make sure your motor's clean. It's really easy to do this, yet nobody does it. Ah! Jeez, that was pretty pitiful. Okay. It's really all you need. It's pretty clean. Okay. Okay. So, at this point, I guess I will add some oil. Usually I would open the motors up. I'm not sure if I can on this one. It might be... might be stamped shut. I'm not sure. There are screws, but I'm not sure if those are just holding it to the case or if those actually allow it to be opened up. Either way, usually I would go in and clean out the bearings and re-lubricate them with fresh oil and the oil wicks. This one is very low hours, so I'm not going to do that. Usually you should. So we're going to start with the back bearing. Some motors are going to have oil ports. Your older Vox fans and just older fans will. An oil port, if you don't know, this is a horrible angle. An oil port is just a... Is that an... No, it's just a... There's so many holes on this motor, I don't know what is what. It would look kind of like this, but it's actually going to go into the, around the bearing. These are sleeve bearings, and there's felt-like material around these bearings, and the oil is going to go, and it's going to sit in this felt material. Over time, that felt will dry up, and then the motor will lock up, and it will not spin freely, which will cause it to overheat, and then most fans just get thrown out. What you want to do is make sure they're oiled up, and over time, when the fan needs it, the oil will just seep into the bearing and it will keep it spinning freely. You usually want to oil your fans, depending on how much you use them, every 6 months to a year. Yeah, again, that depends on how much you use them. If it's a continuous duty situation, do it every 6 months. And I'm talking about older fans. You can do it with newer fans, but usually people don't clean them at all, and they don't last long enough to need oil. The type of oil you want to use is not WD-40. That will ruin the bearings. It'll actually make them goop up, and then it won't spin. WD-40 is more so a cleaner than an oiler, which is what most people, don't know. The oil you want, at least the kind I use, there are a few different kinds you can get. Oh my goodness, that was zoomed in the entire time. You probably just missed half of what I was talking about. Okay, oil port, usually up there. That's not one, but an oil port, and it'll seep down into the felt I was talking about around the bearing, and yeah. Okay, the oil you want to use is Zoom Spout. Very high quality oil, works great. This thing extends so you can get it to where you need it to go. And this is a cap. If you're still confused on the oil, I'm pretty sure Jordan, you goes over his oil spiel in just about every single fan servicing video he's made. And I'm pretty sure he also has a whole dedicated video about it. He's very passionate about that, so you should go check his channel out if you haven't already watched him. Most likely, if you're watching me, you've already watched him because his channel is much larger than mine, but I guess I'll zoom in again. My tripod is kind of dilapidated, so the camera moves around more than it should. So there's a grill thing here in the middle, but I'm just going to drop a little bit of oil. You only need a few drops. I'm really not putting much in here because it doesn't really seem to need it. And then I'm going to turn it on to help move the oil around. Okay. Hold on. I had to get the knob. Where is it? You don't want to let the motor run like this too long because if there's not a fan blade on there to pull the air through, it's going to overheat, but you can do it for a few seconds to help get the oil moved in. That stupid knob just fell off again. On the front, I'm just going to go around the shaft here and drop a couple drops in. Kind of let it slide down the shaft a little bit. Again, 2 to 4 drops. You're good. If you're doing an oil port and you haven't oiled your fan in years, you're going to, well, ideally you would open up the motor and just do it like that. But if not, you're going to want to add more oil. You don't want to add too much because it will leak out and get everywhere, which is a disaster and a half. Because it's annoying, it's gross, and dust sticks to it. So if you let it run with oil all over the back of your fan, you're going to get a lot of dust stuck to it, which is disgusting. Alright, that's good enough for now. You can see the spin down time is very, very, very good. It will be much longer with the blade set on, but if it spins down that long without a blade on, your bearings are in very nice condition. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to fix this switch. I don't know if you can see this. There are 2 cracks on each side here, and that causes it to slip on this yellow thing, so it doesn't always turn like it should. I'm going to try and glue that together so it doesn't slip anymore. And that should fix that. The other thing I'm going to do is wash the grills, or the grill, just the front, and the blade. And I'm going to do these things off the video, and I will come back when everything has been cleaned and glued. Okay, so at this point, the plastic pieces have been cleaned. As you can probably tell, the blade shines a little bit. I think you can see that. So, I'm also waiting on the glue to dry for this. Now it's time to get to my favorite part. Balancing the blade. That was sarcasm. That's not my favorite part. I hate balancing blades, but it is necessary to protect the bearings of your fan. If you run a fan with an out of balance blade, it will screw up the bearings and they'll become noisy, and it'll just be an annoying fan if you don't balance the blade. So this is a guess and check process. There are many ways to do this. Basically, you just want to add some sort of a weight to different sides of the hub, and it's a guess and check. So one side is going to be much worse than the other. Now, I just put it on a random side, and I'll show you what I used in a minute, but this is going to be an example of something that's way out of balance. I just tested it, and woof. So I'll show you what it looks like, because some of you might find it enjoyable, and then I'm going to put it on the opposite side and see if it makes it better or worse. So if you'll watch the cabinet, it's really shaking. That sound is just the tape rubbing against the motor, but way out of balance. So this is what I use. It's just a piece of duct tape with a drill bit underneath. So I'm going to go to the opposite side of the hub here. I'm going to go over here and see if that makes it better. Now there is a chance that this is too much weight. Probably is. But we'll see if this makes it better. If it doesn't, we'll try a different size weight. Jeez. Okay, what the heck? Hold on. Alright, so what I've been doing is I took, instead of that bit that was a little bit too much weight, I took a screw and I just put that under the tape, and I went with each of the blades to see which one was the lightest, because you want to put more weight on the lightest to make it match the rest. And conveniently on this fan they actually have little numbers, so I could count, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, it turned out that number 1 was the best place. So the way you want to check it, the balance, earlier I showed just by looking at it, but that's really not correct. What you want to do, plug it in, and you're going to see that this case is going to shake all over the place. But what you really want to do is pick it up like this. It's actually running very smoothly. If it's like feeling like that, that's not good. But if it just feels pretty smooth, then it's good and balanced. I don't know why it's doing this so much. It could be because of the surface that it's on, but it's really in pretty decent balance like this. So the next piece is, you could run it like that with the screw taped in there, but the more permanent answer would be to use some hot glue as the weight. So I don't know if you can see this, but it says number 1 right in there, and there's my taped in screw. So I'll just remember number 1. What I'm going to do is just make sure it's really clean so the glue will stick in this slot. And I have my hot glue gun here, which is, ironically enough, very, very messy. So I'm just going to put some glue. Now you obviously want to start with know, you don't want to put too much because you can take it out. It's doable. It's just annoying. You'd rather have to add some than to take some out. So it's just, I'll let that dry. It takes a couple seconds. And then I will test it on the fan and see if I need a little bit more weight or not. Okay, so I ended up needing to add a little bit more, and then I added a little too much, so I took some away, and now it's at the balance point that I want it. And the spin down is pretty good too. So at this point, let's test the switch and see if it is going to work. If I can get it on. Okay. Seems to be working for now. I don't know how long that's going to hold up. I just used some super glue. That's the best glue I could use for this. I have other knobs I could put on it, but since I had the original, I wanted to try and fix it. So, low. Medium. And high. The clock on these blades is way out, which is probably why the balance was screwed up. The hub is also kind of weird. Well, I just screwed up the spin down time. Oops. Okay, I'll show another one at the end. Okay, so the last thing to do is going to be putting the front grill on. Gotta find the screws first. Okay, found them. Edison. It was just a name. Well, it's not, or it wasn't. But in this case, Toastmaster is the brand, and Edison is the name they put on the fan. Edison was a brand, but I don't know if they still are or not. If they are, they're probably just cheap junk, like everything else. This turned out pretty nice. It looks very nice. Looks like new condition. If the handle wasn't screwed up, I'd call it mint. These screws do not need to go tight at all. The grill isn't going to fly off and hit you in the face, don't worry. Less than hand tight is adequate. You don't want to crack the plastic. It's also a good idea to actually line the screw up with the hole. Alright. Hopefully that's out of the wind stream. And we can test it now. And my camera is weird. Okay. This is a very small room, so the air isn't going to flow very well. But this is a pretty powerful fan. This is mostly for the spin down, so I'm just going to run it up on high. For those of you who don't know, you want to have as long as of a spin down as possible. That means your motor is well oiled. I suspect this one will get better as it runs and as the oil works into the bearings. That was actually a little shorter than I expected it would be, but it's plenty adequate. So, yeah, I still have to remove that sticker from the top. And I think I might glue one of the feet that's cracking, but I'll do those things off video. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.